Have you ever wondered why some women, even the most self-aware, are drawn not to safety, but to danger? Not to comfort, but to unpredictability. Imagine her sitting across from him, his gaze steady, his silence weighted. He isn't loud, he doesn't explain himself, and yet something about him stirs the air. It's not about rebellion or recklessness. It's something deeper, something primal. She can't quite name it, but it lives in his restraint, his quiet strength, his refusal to be owned. He is, in a word, dangerous. But not in the way we fear, in the way we feel. Welcome. Today, we step gently into this enigmatic pull, the strange attraction women feel toward men who radiate power, self-possession, and controlled chaos. What lies beneath this desire? What does it reveal, not only about attraction, but about the nature of masculinity itself? To guide us, we'll walk with the clinical clarity of Jordan Peterson and the metaphysical depth of Arthur Schopenhauer. Together, they invite us to look beyond appearances into the unconscious forces, the symbolic myths, and the raw instinct that shape human desire. Take a breath, let go of judgment, and come with curiosity. Let's begin. From the beginning of human history, survival has never been guaranteed. Our ancestors lived in landscapes shaped not by comfort, but by uncertainty. In such a world, strength wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity. A man who could command risk, who could stand firm against chaos, became not only a provider, but a symbol of continuity, of life itself enduring the storm. And though the world around us has changed, the echo of those instincts remains. Evolution does not forget so easily. According to Jordan Peterson, women are biologically wired to seek mates who embody competence, dominance, and resilience, qualities that signal the ability to protect and succeed in the face of threat. Peterson often points to the archetype of the hero, the one who walks voluntarily into the unknown, who contends with dragons, both literal and metaphorical. The dangerous man is not a criminal or a brute, but one who has integrated his shadow, who is capable of destruction, but chooses control. In this capacity lies both safety and mystery. He is not safe in the weak sense, he is secure in the powerful sense. Arthur Schopenhauer, by contrast, speaks more from the depths of metaphysical longing. For him, attraction is not about reason, it is about the blind striving of the will, the impersonal force that animates all life. The dangerous man, in this light, represents vitality unconstrained by social niceties. He moves not from calculation but from instinct, raw and unfiltered. To be near him is to brush against the intensity of existence itself, something both terrifying and intoxicating. His unpredictability makes him real in a world that often feels artificial. Consider a woman who meets two men. One offers affection wrapped in predictability, a life without conflict. The other listens without speaking, acts without permission, and radiates quiet control. She cannot explain it, but the second man awakens something ancient in her. It is not rational, it is symbolic. He embodies the possibility of transformation, and with it, danger. And so, we begin to understand, danger, properly integrated, is not chaos, it is potential. It is the fire that can either burn or illuminate, depending on who holds the match. In the presence of such fire, the heart stirs, not out of fear but recognition. But this draws us into a deeper paradox. If danger is so alluring, what kind of man dares to embody it and still be good? To answer this, we must enter the forest of archetypes and shadows, where myth and psychology converge. In our age of politeness and digital performance, the nice guy has become a cultural fixture, a man who is agreeable, inoffensive, and eager to please. On the surface, he seems ideal, kind, respectful, emotionally available. And yet, time and time again, we hear the quiet lament. Why don't women want someone who's just nice? Beneath that question lies a profound misunderstanding of human desire and the dynamics of power, authenticity, and the unconscious. Jordan Peterson speaks of this often. He argues that many modern men confuse virtue with harmlessness. But harmlessness is not a virtue, it is the absence of strength. A good man, Peterson reminds us, is not weak but disciplined. He is someone who could be dangerous but chooses not to be. The so-called nice guy, by contrast, has been tamed by societal norms and cultural narratives that reward submission over sovereignty. He avoids conflict, represses anger, and externalizes responsibility. He may be kind, but he is also afraid of rejection, of confrontation, of being disliked. And in that fear, there is no freedom, only performance. He wears a mask, and the soul beneath it grows dim. Schopenhauer, from a different vantage, suggests that we are all ruled by the blind striving of the will. When a man suppresses his primal urges, when he tries to deny the darker, more chaotic parts of his nature, he does not transcend them, he buries them. And what is buried does not disappear, it festers. The nice guy is often full of resentment, not because he is too good, but because he has never learned to integrate the parts of himself that are powerful. He offers affection, but not passion, predictability, but not presence. He is like a tree without deep roots, outwardly pleasing, but hollow at the core. Imagine a woman standing before two men. One gives her the answers she wants to hear. The other challenges her, not cruelly, but confidently. One tiptoes, the other stands firm. One seeks her approval, the other possesses his own. She may smile at the first, but it is the second who lingers in her mind. Why? Because attraction is not born from comfort alone, it is born from depth, and danger, when integrated, speaks of depth. The nice guy offers safety but without edge. He is the calm surface of a shallow pond. The dangerous man, if self-aware, is the stillness of a deep ocean. And yet, danger without direction becomes destruction. The question is no longer simply why women prefer dangerous men, but which kind of dangerous man. To understand this, we must explore what lies beneath the surface, the shadow, the repressed self, the dark double that waits not to harm, but to be known. Arthur Schopenhauer, often cloaked in the dark fabric of philosophical pessimism, offered one of the most piercing insights into human nature, that we are not rational beings led by reason, but rather creatures driven by an unconscious, blind, and ceaseless force, what he called the will. This will is not the rational will of Kantian ethics, but a deeper, more primal striving, the raw, surging pulse that underlies all life. It has no aim, no final goal. It simply wants, and it is through this lens that desire, including romantic and sexual attraction, must be understood not as a choice of the mind, but as a movement of the will, irrational and unstoppable. Desire, then, does not ask what is safe or reasonable. It does not weigh the moral character of a man or his long-term suitability as a partner. Instead, it is drawn to vitality, strength, intensity, qualities that, in the language of the will, signal power, the promise of survival, even if cloaked in danger. A woman may consciously desire comfort, but the will responds to something more primitive, the storm, not the shelter. And dangerous men, whether through confidence, unpredictability, or a refusal to submit, embody that storm. They seem less like products of culture and more like forces of nature. Their presence speaks to something untamed, something ancient, and the will is always listening. Schopenhauer believed that the will manifests itself most urgently in sexuality because it is through reproduction that the will perpetuates itself. Thus, when a woman is drawn to a man who exudes strength, even if wrapped in danger, it is not logic guiding her, but life itself seeking to affirm its continuation. The nice guy, by contrast, may be safe, but he may not awaken the will. He might appeal to the ego, to the part of us that wants peace, but he does not stir the part that wants to burn. The will does not care for peace. It cares only for becoming. And so, what does this mean for our understanding of human relationships? That we are often at war within ourselves, between what we think we want and what something deeper in us chooses without asking permission. The will is not evil. It is simply indifferent. It is fire, and we must learn how to hold it without being consumed. But what happens when that fire touches the darker corners of our psyche? When we begin to feel desire for that which also threatens us? To explore this tension, we must now descend into the realm of the shadow, the hidden self, the repressed double, and the dangerous beauty of what we refuse to see. If these ideas are stirring something within you, feel free to share your reflections below. This space is for thoughtful conversation and gentle exploration together. Let's continue. To understand the dangerous man and the attraction he provokes, we must look beyond mere appearances. For danger, in its purest form, is not cruelty or destruction, but energy unrestrained. Jordan Peterson, drawing from mythological archetypes, often speaks of the eternal dance between order and chaos. Order is the known, the safe, the structured. Chaos is the unknown, the fertile void, the potential for transformation. Masculinity, he suggests, must learn to navigate this duality, not to become wholly one or the other, but to integrate both, like a sword sheathed not in violence, but in discipline. A man who is merely safe, predictable, and agreeable may dwell too far on the side of order. His goodness becomes a cage. He is like a house with locked doors and no fire in the hearth. Yet a man who lives in unchecked chaos, who is violent, impulsive, or cruel, becomes a force of destruction, not creation. The dangerous man who is most compelling, then, is not the one who acts from chaos, but the one who masters it. He has seen the abyss but does not fall into it. He knows what he is capable of, but chooses restraint. This is what Peterson means when he says, "A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control." This inner tension is ancient. In myth, it is the warrior monk, the beast with a conscience, the king who wields power not for himself, but for the good of the realm. When a woman is drawn to a man with a dangerous edge, it may not be the danger itself she longs for, but the signal that he has walked through chaos and returned with fire in his hands and wisdom in his gaze. He has not rejected his shadow. He has learned to speak its language. He is not domesticated, but directed. And yet, this raises a deeper question. If such balance is so rare, how can we begin to understand the line between strength and cruelty, between masculinity and domination? The dangerous man walks a tightrope between two worlds. To fall to one side is to become tyrant. To fall to the other is to vanish. In this, we begin to see that the real danger is not in strength itself, but in failing to know its purpose. So, what then lies beneath the masks we wear, the personas we adopt in love and power? As we step forward, we enter the territory of the shadow self, the part of us we hide, even from ourselves, yet which speaks in every attraction, every fear, every trembling choice. Beneath the surface of physical form and social role lies what we might call the symbolic masculine, not the man himself, but the pattern he embodies. Jordan Peterson, speaking through the lens of Jungian archetypes, describes this masculine ideal not as brute force or dominance, but as the principle of logos, the word, the structure, the spirit that orders chaos. This masculine, in its truest symbolic form, is less concerned with what happens and more with how one responds. It is not reaction, but representation, the ability to hold oneself as a mirror of clarity in the midst of storm. Think of the knight, not in armor, but in silence. He is not the man who lashes out, but the one who absorbs, reflects, and responds with proportion. In a world that often demands immediacy and emotional reactivity, the symbolic masculine waits, watches, and speaks with intention. He is the still tree in high wind. Schopenhauer, though often critical of human desire, still recognized the rare individual who could rise above the blind will. To not be swept away by instinct, but to become an image of restraint and form. In this way, the dangerous man who holds himself in balance becomes not a threat, but a symbol. Not chaos itself, but the one who stands at its edge and represents something more. This symbolic presence resonates deeply with women, not necessarily as a checklist of traits, but as a felt sense of weight, integrity, and internal compass. The man who does not flinch, but neither domineers. The man who can contain his violence like fire in a lantern, capable of warmth, yet still aflame. It is not control over others that defines him, but control over himself. And that, perhaps, is the deepest kind of strength. The symbolic masculine does not impose, it reveals. It reveals what lies possible when a man embodies what is highest, not merely what is immediate. And yet, symbols cast shadows. Even the most balanced presence can mask wounds not yet faced. As we move closer, we turn inward, to the question beneath all others. What is it within us that yearns for danger, for wildness, for the sublime edge? To answer this, we must confront not just the world, but the self behind the gaze. The shadow is calling, and it asks to be seen. To understand why danger holds such a magnetic allure, we must journey deeper into the psyche, into the realm that Carl Jung famously called the shadow, the hidden, often rejected parts of ourselves that stir unrest and yearning beneath our conscious mind. Jordan Peterson echoes this insight, suggesting that true maturity in masculinity arises not from denying this shadow, but from integrating it, bringing its dark energy into conscious balance. It is here, in this delicate act of reckoning and reconciliation, that the soul finds its fullest expression. The dangerous man, then, is not simply a reckless figure on the edge of chaos, but one who has dared to enter his own darkness and emerged with something vital, something whole. Arthur Schopenhauer's concept of the will, the blind, irrational force driving all life, illuminates this struggle. The will is relentless, chaotic, often destructive if left unchecked. Yet it is also the very essence of vitality, passion, and life's primal energy. To live without acknowledging this force is to live half a life, anesthetized or fragmented. The integrated masculine embraces the will, not as a tyrant, but as a part of the self to be known, respected, and directed. This does not mean yielding blindly to impulse, but learning the ancient art of self-mastery where strength is born from understanding one's depths, including the shadows where desire and danger dwell. Consider the man who, in his youth, may have been driven by raw impulses, anger, desire, rebellion, but who now, through hardship and reflection, recognizes these not as enemies but as teachers. His power lies in the tension he holds between light and dark, order and chaos. In this integration, masculinity ceases to be a brittle mask and becomes a living, breathing soul, complex, nuanced, and profoundly human. For women, the attraction to this kind of man is not merely biological or superficial, it resonates on a deeper level with the unconscious recognition of wholeness, of a soul that carries both fire and grace. And so, as we move, we see that danger is no simple enemy nor friend. It is a threshold. It marks the boundary where the fragmented self may become whole, where the wild energies of the will are tempered by conscious awareness. The journey into integrated masculinity is, at its core, a journey home, to the self beneath the surface, where shadow and soul intertwine. It is there, on that threshold, that true magnetism arises, not from fear or control, but from profound presence and balance. As we draw near to the close of this exploration, it is essential to confront the profound tension that lies at the heart of attraction, the delicate dance between comfort and vertigo. On one side stands comfort, the familiar, the safe harbor of predictability and ease. It is the gentle warmth of a steady flame, the soothing rhythm of routine and calm. This is the domain of what we might call the nice guy, the man who promises security, reliability, and the quiet assurance of stability. Yet, as Jordan Peterson often reflects, human beings are not merely creatures of comfort. We are also beings called toward meaning, challenge, and growth. Realms where comfort begins to fade and the unsettling rush of vertigo emerges. Vertigo here is more than mere fear or danger. It is the dizzying awareness of life's precariousness, the sharp edge where certainty dissolves into the unknown. Arthur Schopenhauer's notion of the will resonates deeply in this space, revealing desire not as a tranquil wish, but as a restless force that propels us toward the unfamiliar, the risky, the transformative. To prefer the dangerous man, then, is to lean into that vertigo, to seek out not just comfort, but the raw, electric vitality that stirs the soul awake. It is an embrace of life's paradox, where attraction is sparked not by the absence of risk, but by the presence of profound aliveness. Imagine two paths, one smooth and well-trodden, lined with soft grass and predictable skies, the other steep, jagged, with the wind's fierce howl and the drop of abyss beneath. The first offers ease but little growth. The second demands courage but promises transformation. It is this contrast, the pull between settled peace and existential vertigo, that reveals the deeper truth behind the allure of danger. Ultimately, it is not danger itself that fascinates, but the invitation to awaken from complacency, to encounter the vast unknown within and without. Like a silent cliff's edge, this tension calls us to balance, to stand poised between what is safe and what is vital, where true attraction unfolds in the interplay of shadow and light. As we come to the close of this reflection, we have journeyed through the intricate dance between danger and desire, comfort and vertigo, the shadow and the soul. We have glimpsed how beneath attraction lies a profound human truth, that to be truly alive is to embrace both the calm and the wild, the known and the mysterious. From Schopenhauer's restless will to Peterson's call to balance order and chaos, we see that the preference for what is dangerous is not merely about thrill or rebellion, but about answering a deeper longing for meaning, vitality, and growth. This exploration invites us to look inward and ask, where do we stand in our own lives between safety and risk? How might the dangerous represent not just external excitement, but an inner call toward awakening parts of ourselves that remain untamed? The allure of danger, then, becomes a metaphor for the human spirit's hunger to transcend mere comfort and touch something greater, something that both terrifies and inspires. In returning to the question that opened our inquiry, we are reminded that attraction is not a simple preference, but a mirror reflecting our own complexity. As the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard suggested, to live authentically is to stand on the edge of the unknown with courage and openness. May this reflection offer a gentle invitation to embrace your own balance of order and chaos, comfort and vertigo, and in doing so, discover the profound life waiting quietly beneath. Thank you for reflecting with me today. If this journey resonated with you, consider joining this quiet community by subscribing, and know that your thoughts and questions are always welcome here.